Hello everyone and welcome to The No Show. I'll be your host Nathan Orenstein, and today I'm going to be reviewing The Devil Wears Prada 2. The Devil Wears Prada 2 is a direct sequel to 2006's The Devil Wears Prada, and it's written by Aline, Brosh, McKenna, directed by David Frankel, and stars Meryl Streep, Anne Hathaway, Emily Blunt, and Stanley Tucci. After getting laid off from the publication she worked at, journalist Andy Sachs returns to Runway to be the features editor, much to the distaste of editor-in-chief Miranda Priestley. But when a new ownership regime threatens to gut Runway, Andy develops a plan to save Miranda's job and the publication. The Devil Wears Prada 2 is the latest product of Hollywood's new obsession with legacy sequels, and these things can be extremely hit or miss. Luckily, The Devil Wears Prada 2 does things right, bringing back all four members of the core original cast, as well as the writer and the director. And while there are a few moments here and there that do feel a bit cash grabby, this is by and large a legitimate continuation of the story told 20 years ago, this time actually bringing things into the modern age both narratively and thematically. My biggest concern when any of these legacy sequels comes out is whether or not their existence is even justified at all, or if they're clear attempts to prey on people's nostalgia. Well, The Devil Wears Prada 2 more than justifies its existence, and honestly holds its own pretty well with the original in my opinion. First things first, I don't think you necessarily need to watch the first one to follow this one. Sure, you'll miss references and stuff, but the plot will hold up. I also don't know why you would watch this if you haven't seen the first one, but that's besides the point. One of the things I enjoyed most about The Devil Wears Prada 2 is how familiar it all felt. Everyone slips back into character so well, but they also do behave as if 20 years have gone by. I will say there is a general sameness to the vibe that can work against it as much as it works for it, but I also think it changes things up enough in its story to really stand apart from the original. Whereas the first film mostly focuses on the individual characters and how certain events affect them, this new film is really about both fashion and journalism at large, and just modernization in general. It shows how the printed word is on its way out, how fashion is becoming more and more corporatized, and how creative jobs are being replaced by inferior AI solutions. I don't think The Devil Wears Prada 2 is necessarily saying anything groundbreaking about any of these topics, but it clearly shows an effort to continue this story in the current day with current day issues. I will admit, moving away from such a character-centric approach to something that feels bigger and more plot-focused does mean that we're getting less of those iconic, snarky moments that the first film is so full of. But as a whole, I think this new one is pretty much just as entertaining, even if it'll definitely go down as being less memorable. As far as new characters go, the real standouts for me were BJ Novak, who plays the finance bro who's looking to take over Runway, and Justin Theroux, who basically plays a parody of a tech billionaire. His character is actually dating Emily, who is obviously very proper and tough as nails, and seeing her with such a carefree moron is hilarious. I did think there were some cameo moments that felt a bit eye-rolly to me, not unlike the Nightmare Legacy sequel that was Happy Gilmore 2, but other than that, I think it did a good job of keeping things pretty contained and focused to this film only, while of course throwing in plenty of fun nods to the original throughout. If you like The Devil Wears Prada, I think there's a strong chance you'll like this one too. It balances familiarity and nostalgia with its new ideas and new narrative direction in a way that feels both comforting and fresh. No, it doesn't have that same iconic quality that the first one does, but I think it's just as fun in many ways and holds its own really well. This is definitely a legacy sequel worth seeing. I'm going to be giving it a 7 out of 10. If you enjoyed the review, then feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. And if you've seen The Devil Wears Prada 2 already, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. I've been Nathan Orenstein with The No Show. Thanks for watching.